If you're looking for some new embroidery kits, today's unboxing is for you. Hi, my name is Claudia and I'm the owner of Snuggly Monkey. Traditionally, I've been doing these unboxings as live videos, first on Instagram and then on Substack, but I realized that the majority of people actually watch these videos, the recordings of them, either on Substack or YouTube. So I thought I would try pre-recording them and uploading it so that we could get a higher video quality. So if you preferred the live format, please let me know. Drop me a comment, send me a note, and I can switch between the two. So before we get started today with all of these unboxings, it is QuiltCon prep time around here. QuiltCon 2026 is taking place in Raleigh this year, and it's just about 2 weeks away. So we are getting a ton of inventory in right now that we'll be taking with us to the booth, and also just kind of restocking the shop. So today's restock is really embroidery kit heavy. There's a lot of them that have just come in. So let's dive in with this very first box. This comes from the UK, from Hawthorne Handmade. And Hawthorne does a couple of different things. They do a lot of really cute kits. They do a lot of felt embroidery kits. These came out a year or two ago, and it's their banner kits. This is the woodland pennant, and then there's also a wildflower kit. The nice thing about their kits is that everything that you need is in this box. So the kit includes step-by-step instructions. There's pins in here, cotton thread, an embroidery needle, a wooden dowel to hang it when you're done, DMC thread, and felt sheets. Everything is in this box. The only other thing that you'll need that isn't in this box is some scissors. So that's the really nice thing about almost all of Hawthorne's kits, is that everything is in the box. So you don't have to really look for any extra supplies. They also have smaller kits. These are some of their hand embroidery kits. This includes a 4-inch wooden hoop, so the hoop and everything is in here already. The pattern is pre-printed on cotton fabric for you, so you don't have to worry about transferring patterns. It's already there. You can open the box and jump right into stitching. Hawthorne kits, especially these little ones, are very beginner friendly. This is their Celestial Wolf, but they have a whole Celestial Animal series that it's mostly backstitch. So if you're looking to get started with embroidery, you're looking to do embroidery with kids, grandkids, these Hawthorne kits are a really great starting point for that. They're very cute, and they're very easy and accessible, and at 4 inches you can get through them fairly quickly. And embroidery is all slow stitching, but with the smaller kits you can get through them a little faster than the bigger ones. Hawthorne also does needle minders. This is by far their most popular one. This is the tarot card called the Stitcher. So we've got tons of these that we're taking with us to QuiltCon, but they have a ton of really adorable designs. This one is called Book Lover. This is their succulent one. And if you're not familiar with needle minders, these are cute little magnets, basically. You can see there's a backing magnet here, and you put this on the front of your hoop and then you attach it to your hoop using this backing magnet. Then it gives you a magnetic surface where you can rest your needle in between stitching. Some of the bigger ones, you can actually rest a small pair of scissors on them as well. The smaller ones usually can just hold a needle or two. So that's what needle minders are. And then the other thing that we have from Hawthorne is their stick and stitch patterns. Stick and stitch has become very, very popular with designers in the last year. And basically what stick and stitch is this specialty paper, fabricy paper kind of stuff that you can print on. You cut out the motif that you want to stitch, you pull off the backing paper, and then you can stick it onto any surface that you want to embroider on. So it's great for adding embroidery to your clothing, onto shoes, bags, and into a hoop if you would just want to stitch a hoop design as well. And then you stitch through this paper, and once you're done stitching, you submerge it in water, and the paper dissolves, and so all that's left is your stitches. Couple things to keep in mind with stick and stitch. You do need to use color fast thread because you are going to be submerging it in water in order to get the excess paper off. So you want to make sure that whatever threads you're using is color fast and it won't bleed if you get it wet. The other thing is that I think that it does make it a little bit more difficult to stitch through, so you will need a little bit more hand strength than if you were just drawing your design on your fabric and stitching through that. It is one more layer. I have used this a lot in different ways. I've used the sashiko ones to mend some clothing. I've done entire embroidery patterns with these, and I've never found it to gum up my needle or anything like that, but I do find that there's a little bit more resistance when you use stick and stitch. But Hawthorne has some really cute motifs, and the nice thing about these designs is that you can really create your own scene. You just cut out what you want, use that. It is single use, so you won't be able to do it again without buying another pack, but that's what the stick and stitch patterns are. So that's our box from Hawthorne Handmade. Next up, we'll switch a minute to look at some scissors. We got our order of the scallop pinking shears from LDH in. Pinking shears are usually, they have little peaks, and what you use them for is to keep the edge of your fabric from fraying. These are specialty pinking shears because they have a scallop edge. You would use these in things like this. So if you're doing felt work and you want to add this cute little scalloped edge, that's what you would use, is a scalloped pinking shear. You can use these just like pinking shears as well. They will also prevent the fraying of fabric if you want to use it for that. But we haven't had these in stock for a little while, so it's nice to have them back. But we've got the pinking shears back in stock. We also got a restock of the Lori Holt little stork scissors. They come in pink, mint, and blue. Ever since the tariffs went into place, small scissors are getting more difficult to find. I always try to keep kind of a wide price range, especially of scissors in the shop, because sometimes you want a less expensive scissor, something that you're going to just throw in your bag, take it on an airplane and not be worried if TSA takes it away. But because a lot of these scissors are made in China and then they're made of steel, they're being double tariffed. And so these scissors have become really expensive. So I used to carry a fairly large range of scissors in like the $5 range, and they're just getting more and more difficult to find. So I was happy to be able to get these back in. So those are back in the shop. All right, the next designer we're going to take a look at is M Creative J, and this is Melissa, and she is based up in the Pacific Northwest. She does really beautiful embroidery kits. This is her cyanotype kit, and her kits are also, again, all-inclusive. Everything that you need is in here. Your fabric, your needles, your thread, your hoop is all contained in the box. So these kits are really nice for gifting. If you need a project that you need to take with you on a trip and you just want to grab one thing without having to gather all sorts of supplies, kits make it really, really easy to do that. Melissa's kits are kind of wide-ranging in skill level. This one is pretty beginner friendly, but then she also, if you're looking for something a little bit more challenging, a little bit to try something different, she has come up with some more intricate kits. Let's see if I can pull one up. This is her bug collector kit, and you can see that the wings of the butterfly are actually three-dimensional. So she walks you through how you do that stump work in order to create those wings that pop off the canvas. So her kits, you just have to kind of look at them. They've got a big range. Melissa also has a ton of stick and stitch patterns, similar to what I just showed you with Hawthorne Handmade. She pre-cuts them for you into individual motifs, so you don't have to cut out. Everything's already cut for you. With her, like the wildflower stems, you can actually create a really pretty bouquet out of putting these all together into one piece, or you can just use them one at a time. So that's what we have from M Creative J. The next box we have is from Kate Wyatt. Kate is a watercolor artist, and she has taken a lot of her, she focuses on nature, a lot of flowers, and so she's taken her watercolor prints and turned them into embroidery kits. So here we have, this is her cone flower, another all-inclusive kit. Everything that you need is in here. The pattern is pre-printed on cotton fabric, hoop, thread, needles, everything is inside the box, along with some kind of basic stitching instructions. With stitching instructions, every designer does it a little bit differently. Some people don't include any. Some have kind of a guide through your basic steps. But there are so many wonderful stitch dictionaries online that are completely free that make it really easy for you to look up just about any embroidery stitch. If you learn better through videos, hop on YouTube, type in the name of the stitch. There's tons of video tutorials out there. Lolly and Grace does a great job with her embroidery video tutorials if you're looking for somebody in particular. So don't get too bogged down if a kit doesn't have extensive stitch instructions, because it's very easy to get stitch instructions for specific stitches. So this is her coneflower. This is her zinnia number 2. And if you want to take a quick look inside the kit, you can see that it has the hoop. The floss is already sorted for you on a floss card by number, so it makes it really easy to find the color that you're looking for. And then, like I said, her patterns are pre-printed. This is a cotton linen blend, I believe. It's a little bit thicker, so you wouldn't necessarily need a backing cloth for this. And then she's got your needle right there, because the fabric is already a bit thick. So Kate, these are her 6-inch kits, but she also has larger hoops. This is her peony, and it's an 8-inch design, so it comes with an 8-inch wooden hoop. Kate's kits, I would put her somewhere in the adventurous beginner intermediate, just because they're very, very satin stitch heavy. And not that the satin stitch is necessarily that difficult, I think it requires practice. It takes some time to get used to how you lay your stitches down in order to get your thread to lay flat, in order for you to get full coverage that looks nice and neat. And a lot of her kits are very, very satin stitch heavy. So if you're a fan of satin stitch, Kate's kits are perfect for that. But if you are an absolute beginner, I would probably try some of the other ones first, and then jump into one of Kate's afterwards. Right. The next designer that we got in this week is Jessica Long. And so Jessica, again, very wide range of kits. Her kits have ranged from beginners to more experienced. Again, they're all inclusive. Hoop, the threads are already sorted for you on a card. You have the pattern pre-printed on fabric, the needles in there, a beginner stitch guide is in here, and she's got a ton of just adorable, I love this little garden mouse. She's so cute. This is called Catnap, and it's a sweet little kitty cat. This is probably the most popular one of her kits that I have. It's called Catwalk. And with these, if you see a color in the background of the image that's on the cover, the fabric that comes with it is that color already. So if it's light colored like this, it'll be more that whitish gray color, but this is actually a blue printed fabric that's in there. Jessica also has, she has needle minders. This is her spiral sampler. This is her beginner kit. Samplers come in all sorts of different formats. There are some folks that have kind of just big square charts, and you learn a different stitch in each square of the chart. Drop Cloth Samplers has her color wheel sampler is similar to this, where you are learning different stitches in each color of the color wheel. And what Jessica's done is she is teaching you about 9 or 10 different stitches in this spiral. So you get to create this really pretty image while learning new stitches. So this is one of her beginner kits. She has a ton of needle minders that are really cute. Let's see if I can open this box for you. And the other thing that Jessica has is a deck of cards called the Embroidery Card Deck. And she's got 2 decks, the foundation and the companion deck. And each deck has, I think, 30 different cards in them. Each card has an embroidery stitch. On the front, it shows you a photograph of it, and on the back, it walks you through with illustrations step by step how you do those stitches. So if you're looking for a stitch guide that is printed that you can carry around with you, her embroidery decks are wonderful for that. So this is one of Jessica's designs. This is the otters, which is super popular, as is her little hedgehog. And all of her needle minders are actually based on some of her embroidery kits. So we have the hedgehog kit that matches the hedgehog needle minder, which is super cute. All right. And the last box that we are going to take a look at today comes from Sublime Stitching. Sublime was one of the very, very first products I ever carried in my shop 14 years ago. So I've had a really long working relationship with Jenny. She is an absolute delight. And she's really, in my opinion, she's kind of one of the forerunners of the modern embroidery movement. She really did a lot to bring embroidery. I think her original tagline was "Not Your Grandma's Embroidery." And so Jenny she's got patterns, but really these days she's kind of focusing on tools that make embroidery a little easier. She has her own collection of embroidery flosses. These are Sublime flosses that come in different colorways. That one is called Flower Box. This one is Fruit Salad. There's a glittery one called Christmas Tree. But my favorite thing from Sublime Stitching is her fine tip iron-on transfer pens. I have a longer video on my YouTube channel where I go step by step on exactly how you use these pens. I'll try to link to that in the description of this video. But her pens come in 9 different colors. So if you have a stitch plan in place already for the colors that you want to use, you could draw it all out in the 9 different colors, and then it'll transfer onto your fabric in the colors already set. She's got black, blue, red, light blue, purple, yellow, pink, green, and light green, I think, is the other one. So these are for getting a pattern from paper onto fabric. So if you have purchased a digital pattern, you print it out on your home printer, and then if it has any writing on it, any words, you're going to want to print it out as a mirror image, because then you will take your marker, you will trace around the image with the pen, and then you'll take that paper and you'll put it face down on the fabric that you want to stitch on, iron over it, and the design will be onto your fabric. It's really one of my favorite methods of transferring patterns onto fabric. Personally, I'm a bigger fan of transferring patterns straight onto fabric versus stick and stitch, although stick and stitch definitely has its places. And so this is a really great way. The reason that I love her pens, and when she says fine tip, they are fine tip. So the line that appears on your fabric, you can easily cover it with 2 strands. Sometimes even with 1 strand, you can cover it and you won't see it. The markings are permanent. They will not wash away. Pretty much anything that you run an iron over is going to heat set, and it's not going to wash away. So you have to keep that in mind, that once you transfer the image onto your fabric, the image that's there is permanent and it's not going to wash away. So any lines that you don't cover up are going to show up in the final piece. But Sublime's fine tip markers is the only thing I have found on the market that creates such a thin line. There are other iron-on transfer markers that just create a thicker line. Sulky has one, and that's great for denim, because these thin lines don't show up so well on the darker fabrics. So the thicker, like the Sulky one, will show up a little bit better on darker fabrics. But that's what is mostly in this box, is a really big restock of all of her pens in the different colors. And the other thing that's in this box is several years ago, Jenny started creating these folios of embroidery designs, and these are all iron-on patterns. So you'll see that this is printed backwards, because when you transfer it, you're going to put this face down on your fabric, and so that it will read Mary Blair on your fabric correctly. But she's got a couple of different, these are really, really sweet. Mary Blair, her style, if it looks familiar, she was very influential in Disney and It's a Small World. And so a lot of her style is kind of that design. So in this portfolio, you get all of these iron-on patterns that are in here. The nice thing about iron-on patterns is that they are reusable. With one inking of those pens, you can transfer that design. I've done it about 4 or 5 times before you have to re-ink it again. The ones that come printed in here, I'd say you could probably use them maybe 2 or 3 times, but then you can use your transfer pen to trace over the design again and keep using it. So that's the nice thing about iron-ons versus stick and stitch, is that iron-ons, the image is reusable, versus stick and stitch is really a one-time use. So, all right. So that is what I have for you today. Like I said, we are kind of knee deep in QuiltCon prep around here. So we are really busy right now getting our booth all figured out, making sure we have all the inventory. We're going to have things at QuiltCon that we do not have in our online shop. We have lots of fat quarter bundles that we don't normally sell. We've got some quilt kits that I'm super excited to show everyone when those just came in, but we'll share those with the online store after QuiltCon. So lots of exciting stuff is going on. Thank you so much for joining me. And once again, let me know if you prefer the live format versus this pre-recorded format. I'm hoping that with the pre-recorded format, we can get kind of better video quality and do some fun, interesting things down the line. So thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week.